Hello everyone. Today's biochemistry class we will have some revision. So this revision class will begin with metabolic pathways, and the first metabolic pathway we will be revising here is glycolysis. Glycolysis is one of the important exam which is very commonly asked in the exam. This glycolysis itself can be asked for 10 marks along with its regulation and different steps involved in it. Glycolysis itself can be split and it can be asked for 5 marks or 3 marks asking for the regulation or energetics or the important enzymes or the reversible irreversible steps involved in it. So let's begin with the glycolysis. It is also called as Embeden-Meyerhof pathway, and the definition of glycolysis is that it is the sequence of reaction which is involved in the oxidation of glucose into pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, which is known as aerobic glycolysis, or it is leading to oxidation of glucose to lactate in the absence of oxygen, which is known as anaerobic glycolysis, with the resultant production of ATP. It is nothing but oxidation of glucose to pyruvate or lactate in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen with simultaneously production of ATP. It is a unique pathway because it can utilize glucose, it can oxidize glucose in the presence of oxygen, or it can also do the oxidation of glucose even in the absence of oxygen. So that is why it is unique. So basically it happens under the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen, both. So what is the significance of glycolysis? Glycolysis is the principal route for the metabolism of glucose and also for the production of ATP. Its ability to provide ATP even in the absence of oxygen helps in the survival of the tissues under hypoxic or anoxic conditions. It also generates precursors which are required for the biosynthetic pathways like alanine. From pyruvate, alanine can be synthesized. It can also provide substrate like acetyl-CoA, which is synthesized from pyruvate in the mitochondria. So this acetyl-CoA will act as a substrate for fatty acid biosynthesis. Glycerol 3-phosphate, which is an intermediate in the glycolytic pathway, it is required for the synthesis of triacylglycerol, also comes from this glycolysis. And especially in RBC, it provides 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate, which is required for the transport of oxygen by hemoglobin. So this is the significance, that is, it is the principal route for the glucose metabolism and for ATP production. Its ability to function in the absence of oxygen supply, it helps the tissues to survive the anoxic or hypoxic conditions, and it produces precursors which are required for the synthesis of other biomolecules. So it is the significance or biomedical importance of glycolytic pathway. Next comes to the proper glycolysis. Location, it happens in the cytosol of all the cells, and the reactions are mainly happening in two phases, the phase 1 and the phase 2. Phase 1 is energy consuming, or it is also called as preparatory phase, and the second phase is energy releasing. Here the glucose molecule, which has 6 carbon atom, will be broken down to pyruvate, 2 molecules of pyruvate which has 3 carbon atoms, with the help of almost 10 enzymes, and in 2 phases. The first phase is called as a preparatory phase. Here what happens, glucose will be phosphorylated to glucose 6-phosphate with the help of the enzyme hexokinase or glucokinase, and ATP molecule will be acting as a ATP donor. So glucose will get converted to glucose 6-phosphate with the help of utilizing ATP for the phosphate donor. So this is energy consuming step or the preparatory phase. From this conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate is an irreversible step. From glucose 6-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate is formed with the help of isomerase enzyme. Isomerization is taking place, and this is a reversible reaction. The third step here is fructose 6-phosphate, which is formed from glucose 6-phosphate, will get converted to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate using phosphofructokinase 1 enzyme and utilizing ATP. So this is also an energy consuming step. So this is also an irreversible step in glycolysis. From fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate are formed utilizing the enzyme aldolase. And this is again a reversible step. So in this preparation or phase 1 energy consuming phase, conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate utilizing hexokinase or glucokinase is an irreversible enzyme and ATP utilizing step. The second one is fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate utilizing phosphofructokinase 1 enzyme and ATP, also an irreversible step. So once this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate are formed from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, the dihydroxyacetone phosphate which is formed will be again isomerized to form glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate with the help of enzyme isomerase. So actually 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will be formed. One molecule comes from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate and the other one where the DHAP, that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate, will be isomerized, and this again gets converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are formed in the preparatory phase or in the energy consuming phase of glycolysis. And the second phase, that is energy generating, where the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate which we have got, will undergo oxidation and forms 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate utilizing the enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. And here this step is an NAD dependent reaction where the 2 molecules of NAD are utilized and it forms 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus, and this 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus will enter the electron transport chain and will generate 6 molecules of ATP, or 1 molecule of NADH will give 2.5 or 3 molecules of ATP. So 5, you can take it as 5 or 6 molecules of ATP. From this step, 6 molecules of ATP are synthesized. This 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate will get converted to 3-phosphoglycerate by the enzyme kinase or phosphoglycerate kinase enzyme. And the significance of this step is that it is this synthesis of ATP here is at the substrate level. That means the reactions, the production of ATP will happen at the level of substrate only. Here it will not enter oxidative phosphorylation or electron transport chain for the production of ATP. So 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate using enzyme kinase will form 3-phosphoglycerate, and 3-phosphoglycerate will get converted to 2-phosphoglycerate enzyme 2-phosphoglycerate utilizing the enzyme mutase. And from here phosphoenol pyruvate is synthesized by undergoing dehydration and utilizing the enzyme enolase. And from phosphoenol enol pyruvate is synthesized utilizing the enzyme pyruvate kinase, and again here 2 molecules of ATP are synthesized, and this is also at the level of substrate. ATP are synthesized at the substrate level only, so it is called as substrate level phosphorylation. So This is about second phase. The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate which is formed will get converted to 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate using the enzyme dehydrogenase with the simultaneous release of 2 NADH plus H plus, which enter the electron transport chain for the production of ATP. And from 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate is formed utilizing the enzyme kinase and releasing 2 molecules of ATP, which is at the substrate level. From 3-phosphoglycerate, 2-phosphoglycerate are formed, which is utilizing mutase enzyme, and from 2-phosphoglycerate, phosphoenol pyruvate is formed utilizing the enzyme enolase, and from phosphoenol pyruvate utilizing the enzyme pyruvate kinase, pyruvate is synthesized. So once this pyruvate is formed in presence of oxygen, this will be taken up into the mitochondria, where this gets converted to acetyl CoA using the pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme complex, and this acetyl CoA will enter TCA cycle and releases energy. So this is about the second phase of glycolysis, that is energy releasing phase. So here 6 molecules of ATP are formed from 2 NADH molecules, and 2 ATP are produced from 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate to 3-phosphoglycerate, and from phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate again 2 molecules of ATP are synthesized. So 2 plus 2 4 plus 6 10 molecules of ATP are synthesized. Next is anaerobic glycolysis. Here, the reoxidation of NADH will not take place because of the absence of oxygen, that is anaerobic. In the absence of oxygen, the reoxidation of NADH by electron transport chain is prevented, or it is not happening, because for the oxidative phosphorylation in the electron transportation chain, oxygen is must. So in the absence of oxygen, the reoxidation of NADH will not happen. So this reoxidation will happen by conversion of pyruvate to lactate by the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase. So this will help for the tissues to function under hypoxic or anoxic conditions, and this specially takes place in tissues like skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and in RBCs. In RBCs, even in the aerobic condition, glycolysis will end in the production of lactate because of absence of mitochondria, because electron transportation chain with oxidative phosphorylation will take place in mitochondria. So RBCs lack mitochondria, so glycolysis will end up in the production of lactate in RBCs. So this is about anaerobic glycolysis, that is conversion of glucose to lactate in the absence of oxygen. So now comes the regulation. Regulation of glycolysis happens at 3 important steps and by 3 important enzymes. Those enzymes are hexokinase or glucokinase, phosphofructokinase 1, and pyruvate kinase. These are the 3 irreversible reactions in the glycolytic pathway. So hexokinase, it is an allosteric enzyme which is inhibited by its own product, that is glucose 6-phosphate. And liver glucokinase, it is an inducible enzyme, so the synthesis of glucokinase will be increased by insulin and decreased by glucagon. The second enzyme which is important in the regulation is phosphofructokinase. This is again an inducible enzyme, so its synthesis is increased by insulin and decreased by glucagon. This enzyme is also activated by fructose 6-phosphate, AMP, which indicates low ATP levels, and fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, and this is inhibited by citrate, cyclic AMP, and ATP. The third important enzyme in the regulation is pyruvate kinase, and this is also an inducible enzyme, so its synthesis is increased by insulin and decreased by glucagon. That means whenever we take food, glycolysis is stimulated, and pyruvate kinase is activated by fructose 1,6-bisphosphate and inactivated by ATP molecules. Energetics, as already told, the first phase, that is energy consuming. So in the first reaction, that is conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, will take one molecule of ATP, and the second reaction is conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, also will utilize one molecule of ATP. So two molecules of ATP are utilized. And the second step, that is ATP synthesis or generating phase, where from glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is formed, where two molecules of NADH are released, which enter the ATP cycle. One molecule of NADH will give 2.5 molecules of ATP. So two molecules of NADH will give rise to 5 ATPs. And the second step, that is 3-bisphosphoglycerate to 3-phosphoglycerate, will give rise to 2 ATP, and phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate conversion will give rise to 2 molecules of ATP at the substrate level. So the total ATP produced are 9 and total ATP consumed are 2. So total 7 molecules of ATP are released in the glycolytic process. Some specialities with respect to glycolysis is that out of 10, 3 reactions are irreversible and rest of all of them are reversible reactions. So those 3 irreversible reactions are conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate under the influence of glucokinase or hexokinase, conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate by phosphofructokinase enzyme, and conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate by pyruvate kinase, which are the 3 important regulatory steps of glycolysis. Next is substrate level phosphorylation. And what is substrate level phosphorylation is that it is the formation of ATP directly at the substrate level, which is coupled to metabolic process without the involvement of electron transport chain and molecular oxygen. Whereas in oxidative phosphorylation, which is linked to electron transportation chain with the help of oxygen. So substrate level phosphorylation is most commonly asked for 3 marks or 5 marks. So whenever it is been asked, you have to write the definition of substrate level phosphorylation with 2 examples. One is conversion of 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate to phosphoglycerate, phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate. Next is one more cycle happens, that is Rapoport-Liebering cycle. What happens here is the production of ATP by substrate level phosphorylation from 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate to 3-phosphoglycerate is bypassed, and energy whatever is produced will be released as heat, and there is no production of ATP. What happens? The 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate will be acted upon by the enzyme mutase, and this gets converted to 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate, and this will be acted upon by the enzyme phosphatase, and this will form 3-phosphoglycerate. This step, the substrate level phosphorylation step in the glycolysis, will be bypassed, and 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate will get converted to 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate, and from there 3-phosphoglycerate is formed utilizing two enzymes, mutase and phosphatase. And this cycle is taking place in the RBCs, and the significance or importance of this cycle is that it prevents accumulation of ATP, which is not needed by the RBCs, and it helps in the production of 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate, which is required for the transportation of oxygen by the hemoglobin. And also this 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate will regulate the binding and release of oxygen from the hemoglobin. And one more function of this 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate is that it acts as a buffer in RBCs. So that's why Rapoport-Liebering cycle plays an important role in the body. Next, one more question which is commonly asked is that in the estimation of plasma glucose fluoride tubes are utilized, and what is the significance or why is it being used? Fluoride is used as a preservative in plasma glucose estimation because it will inhibit the enzyme enolase. So once this enolase is inhibited, the glycolysis will not take place. So the glucose levels will not be lowered or altered once the sample is collected in the collection tubes. If fluoride is not added, the plasma sugar levels will be decreasing for about 10% every 1 hour. So addition of fluoride as a preservative will help in maintaining the glucose levels in the tubes. And next expected question here in from this glycolysis pathway is differences between the glucokinase and hexokinase. Glucokinase is present in liver, hexokinase is present in the extrahepatic tissues. Glucokinase has got high affinity. It has got high Km value, so it has got low affinity for glucose, whereas hexokinase has low Km, that's why it has got high affinity for its substrates. And glucokinase is inhibited by its own product, that is glucose 6-phosphate, whereas hexokinase is inhibited by its product. And the main function of glucokinase is it helps in the removal of glucose from the blood or in the utilization of glucose. And the function of hexokinase is that it helps in it main function is to ensure supply of glucose for the tissues irrespective of blood glucose concentrations in the body. Because it has got low Km, its high affinity for its substrate will help in supply of glucose to the tissues in the body. And glucokinase is specific for glucose, whereas hexokinase it will act on glucose, fructose and other sugar molecules like galactose. And glucokinase is an inducible enzyme, so its levels increases in response to insulin, whereas hexokinase is not affected by the levels of insulin. And next, one more 3 marks question which can be asked from this topic is that Warburg hypothesis or Warburg's effect. Warburg's effect is nothing but a form of modified cellular metabolism which is found in cancer cells or rapidly growing cells. It is defined as increase in the rate of glucose uptake and the production of lactate even in the presence of oxygen. This is Warburg effect. It is an increase in the rate of glucose uptake and production of lactate even in the presence of oxygen. So more and more lactate is produced even in the presence of oxygen, and this Warburg hypothesis or effect is taking place in cancer cells or any rapidly growing cells even during embryogenesis. This is happening. So these are some expected questions or most commonly asked questions from glycolysis topic, and this completes the class for today. Thank you.